Philadelphia Phillies just took 2 out of 3 against the Atlanta Braves. Half game back within the division. They have the 3rd best record in the NL. I believe it's like the 5th or 6th best record in baseball. So they're staying afloat in late May. But can this all keep going in the Phillies' direction by the time the summer closes? That's what we're going to talk about today. Kyle Gaffner and Tony Del Grasso are both here. I am Adrian Fedke. Phillies baseball, another week, and they're still playing really, really well.
Yes,
yeah. Go ahead, Tony. Go.
Yeah, man, like we were just saying off air, can they keep it up? I mean, they're on pace to win 97 games. I don't think they're going to win 97 games, but high 80s, low 90s, I think, is realistic at this point. In theory, this team should only get better. Hoskins has been slumping for almost a month now. Once he turns it around, that's going to be a huge boost. Santana's only kind of just coming around now. They haven't really got a ton of production out of right field. They haven't got really any production out of Kingery or Crawford yet. So once those guys come around, the offense is going to get even better. And if the pitching could replicate even close to what it's done in these first almost 2 months, then this team is definitely a playoff contender.
And we did our predictions at the beginning of the season. I think we all had them as a cusp of a wild card team. I think we were all in the high 70s, low 80s around there, but they're playing phenomenal. And you remember that whole blunder at the beginning of the season, Cap getting his head called for, da-da-da-da-da. Well, do all those haters still have that same feeling for what the guy has done now? I mean, it's short of amazing. I mean, imagine if they do go out and win 90-some games. I mean, it would far exceed what we all expected, but they are playing great. The analytics are working. Maybe we have our closer now if he does stick to the traditional route. But the pitching has been outstanding, guys. Just been, moons over, just crazy. And if we can get that offense to really match with that pitching staff, I mean, we're going to be cooking, baby, for sure.
Yeah, there's 2 ways you can look at this because right now the starters have a 1.99 ERA in May. Do you know what it was last year? It was despicable. 5.53. So obviously the pitching has taken a huge step forward, and that was one of the things that we really wanted to see heading into the season. We knew they had the bats. We knew that they had the offense. We weren't so sure about the pitching. Nick Pivetta, Vince Velasquez, they got all the talent in the world, but could they harness the control? And in May, so far, they have. But will that continue? We don't really know for sure because we know how inconsistent they are. But what we do know is that the offense will pick it up, as Tony kind of explained. I mean, Kingery, Crawford, you'd expect them to get better. Rhys Hoskins, obviously. I mean, what we saw last year, he's definitely not replicating that. Carlos Santana just getting going, like you said. Odubel Herrera is playing out of his mind. But it's a couple different ways you can look at it. Because if the starters continue to pitch like this, then this team might win the division because you know the offense is going to get better. But what's probably going to happen, I think the starters will kind of I'm not going to say that they're going to get bad, but they're going to average out. Everything's going to level itself out, but the offense is going to level itself out too.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really have anything to add to that.
Do you think the starter? Where do you think the starters are going to go? Like, what do you expect from them, especially Velasquez and Pivetta specifically? Because I think we kind of know Arrieta, what he's going to bring, and we're pretty confident in Aaronola. So we know what we got at the top of the rotation. But Velasquez and Pivetta, can they continue to pitch like this?
Yes and no. I think they're both going to have some rough outings here and there, but I think they've also proved that they're both clearly more consistent than they were last year, both throwing more strikes, which actually was the key to both of them. I mean, as simple as it sounds. Let's also not forget with their rotation that I guess they're going to get Eichhoff back at some point, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody heard any updates with him? Like, I was searching. I couldn't really find anything.
Yeah, I know he's made a couple rehab starts, but I don't know how far along he is.
So if he could be the guy he was 2 years ago, then there's another reliable arm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would expect them to take a slight baby step back, but not anything dramatic. And like you were saying, yes, I mean, they have a true, like a firefighter in the bullpen now, a real weapon that can come in and just, big situation. Go ahead, Kyle.
And what I liked, what I saw out of Vince, the two starts 2 games ago, he got in a little bit of trouble. There was no outs, bases were juiced, and Gabe was sitting there. And in the back of my mind, Vince is like, just leave me in. I've only thrown 61 pitches. Let me grow from this. Let me get myself out of this situation. And when the pressure is on, Vince gets in his own head and he gets wild, and you expected those bases to be cleared. Well, he went in there, and it was a huge learning experience. He struck all 3 batters out. They didn't advance. They got no runs. I thought that was a huge, stride going forward for Vince Velasquez to build off of that. Because, in years past, those runs would have been – he would have thrown up a 5, a crooked number of the offense, and he would have been pulled out of there, and his ERA would have been even more inflated than it was. But the guy has just filthy stuff. It's just the consistency with him. The same with Nick Pivetta. They can throw fire. They've got all the intangibles. It's just the consistency that we want to see out of them. And again, they're still young. You got 25 and 26 years old to go along with Aaron Nola. We got young bucks. And then Arrieta being the old man of the group at a whopping 32. But if you get our young guns going in there, they can play consistently. Pitching was always our worry before because we had all the youth down there in the minors. They were all bats. You didn't really look, and it was like, where's the pitching going to come from? Well, we have them now, and they've established themselves. So they're doing this good. Now we're waiting for the bats to catch up.
Yeah, and you look at Velasquez and his walk numbers. They have gone down from last year. So 10.8% walk percentage, 0.4% this year. And the big key for him, I think, has been the curveball. We've been waiting for a secondary pitch from Velasquez. Is this going to be it? I mean, it could be because the depth on that curveball is pretty nasty right now.
Yeah, I think he actually calls it a slider, but whatever. A breaking pitch is a breaking pitch.
Slider, curveball. I mean, he throws both of them, though.
Yeah. Like I said, he's just – the consistency, I feel like, they talk about mound presence and all that bullshit and blah, blah, blah. You could just tell he's a little different guy than he was last year. He has confidence that he knows where the ball is going now, much more so than he did in the past.
All right, so I got the numbers on that. So I got a little fan graph search. So he's throwing the curveball 19.1% of the time. That's up from 14.7 from last year. And then slider percentage up from 7.1 to 11.8. So you can see he's throwing his fastball a little bit less. He's throwing his secondary pitches more, and that's resulting in obviously better control. So, he's been controlling them better, and that's probably why he's throwing them more. So he feels more confident in throwing those secondary pitches, and he's lasting longer in games. He still hasn't gone to a 7th inning yet, but he's at least getting to the 6th inning, whereas last year he was struggling to get to the 5th. So we're definitely seeing some strides forward with him. I want to move on to Aaron Nola because, Kyle – predicted before the season, his one big prediction, his bold prediction was Aaron Nola is going to be on the Cy Young race. Right now, 2.37 ERA, basically just over 1 on the WHIP, 6-2 record. Who really gives a shit about the record? But he's pitching phenomenally. And Kyle, looks like you're on to something there.
And just what I saw, the strides he's made from year to year, being down in spring training, he just looked like a different player this year. Like he finally all brought it together. He's coming strong back from that injury. He amped up his velocity on his fastball. We know he's not an overpowering pitcher. He's a pinpoint pitcher, relies a lot on his slow stuff. But when I saw him amp that up to around 93 miles an hour, I mean, you can really go off of that. The guy is just – light years ahead of where I thought he would be. And I still think he's going to win that Cy Young just because he's just so crisp, so clean. If he can stay healthy, though, you look at our pitchers, it's consistency and then health. But I think Aaron Nola, what he's shown, he's been able, he added some weight in the offseason too. So that could be able to help with this thin frame and going along in games.
Yeah, I think with Nola, it's easy to forget he's only 24 years old still because spent so little time in the minor leagues. He's an LSU guy, so he was very prepared coming into pro ball. And, I was guilty as well. I thought he was going to be, a number 3 type starter. I never envisioned what we're seeing now. He's really gotten better. And I feel like, compare him to a Hall of Famer. But the way he locates sometime and the movement he has on his pitch, he has a little Greg Maddux in him right now. And again, at gold, you would only think he's going to, pray stays healthy.
Yeah. All right, so I want to get within the division itself, and because that's kind of what the show is about. Can they stay in the race in the NL East? Can they stay in the wild card chase? All that good stuff. So you look at the division right now. You got the Braves at the top. Phillies are a half game behind, and then you got the Nationals in third. So I'll pose this question first: are the Braves going to remain at the top of the division? How long are they going to stay in the race?
Go ahead, Tony.
I think the Braves are for real. For real to the point where I think we are seeing a bit of the changing of the guard top the NL East. I think it's going to be Phillies Braves for at least 5-10 years to come. I don't know. Washington right now, to me, like I said off air, he kind of reminds me of the Phillies in 2012 to an extent. I feel like everyone in the clubhouse and around DC, I mean, they don't have any fans, so it doesn't really matter. But everyone knows Harper's going. And they just called up this 19-year-old phenom, Juan Soto, and he looks unbelievable. But at the same time, I feel like they're now basically relying on this 19-year-old kid to provide a lot of the spark and energy for the rest of the season. And with Harper and the rotation that they have, they're certainly not out of it. But you look at the rosters on paper right now. Phillies and Braves are pretty darn good. And the Nationals roster, I don't think is quite what it was in years past, maybe, if that makes sense. They just have a lot of guys that kind of have question marks, past Harper, Scherzer, and
Yeah, I think you're right. I think their run is coming to a close. They had that window when the Phillies were going through the rebuild, the Braves, the Marlins have been struggling for years on end. So it was basically them because the Mets had that little bit of a window and then they just slumped off. They did what the Mets typically do and they just, kicked rocks. But we did it right because we had all that youth. We drafted, same with the Braves. They went through a lot of struggling seasons, but now they're really reaping the benefits because of all that young talent. And they still have a ton down there, so they could use that to get some veteran leadership in there. So they're really set for the next, 8 to 10 years with the Phillies. We're going to be battling back and forth. I don't know if the Braves will be able to maintain this high level of play just because they're so young. And, along with that comes with growing pains. So, but I definitely think we will be battling it out. And it's just like Washington's coming to that. It's like this close to the door closing on those guys. Scherzer's getting a little bit old. We know Harper's going to be walking away at the end of the season. So they're trying to do their last hurrah to try to win a championship. But Washington chokes. I mean, look what happened with the Capitals. I'm surprised they're on the – they choked every year. But that's just what Washington does. They choke, and their door's about to be closed.
Yeah, I feel like, all those playoff exits, it's so demoralizing, and I think it contributes to the start that they're having right now. I think the window is closing, but I think it's going to close after this year. So I'm expecting a run from them. Like you look at a lot of these NL teams. I mean the Dodgers right now are 5 games under 500. The Diamondbacks have regressed. They're to a game over 500. So some of these teams, it's late May, and by the time, the summer really hits and we're getting into July, we're getting into August, that's when you see teams like this, they start to make their run and go to the top of the division. I don't know how good the Nationals really are. I don't think they're like a 95-win team, but I think they could make a run to the point where they can go to like 88 to 90 wins. But 88 to 90 wins means the Phillies are going to be in the mix. So I think it might come down to Phillies and Nationals, and I think the Braves are going to be right there too. I don't know if they're going to get to 88, but I think they'll be in the mix though. So like they'll be nipping at the heels, but they'll be a couple games back by the season's end. So I guess the next question is this: how's the NL East going to play itself out?
Ooh, man! Like towards the end of the season,
who's winning the division? And is anyone getting a wild card?
I think it's going to be a tight race between the top 3 teams that are out with Atlanta, us, and the Nats. It's just who's going to be able to pull it out. Now, we are a late season team. We always like to turn it on towards the end of August and September to really It's been like that for years past, but I still think we're going to be battling possibly for the top of the division with the Braves. Just because the youth, but we could see growing pains happen. So if we slump off, it wouldn't be a surprise. But I still think it's going to be us in Atlanta fighting for that spot.
Yeah, I think all three are going to be in the mix, and I do think two teams are going to make the playoffs out of it. I think a wild card is coming out of the East this year.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So who's your team winning the division? Who's getting the wild card?
I think the Nats.
I guess.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, honestly, I just said kind of what I'm about to say. I still think the Nats probably end up pulling it out. But I think the Phillies and Braves will be right there, and I think the Phillies win a wild card.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Nats win the division with like 88 to 90 wins, and the Phillies are right there, but they fall behind. So you're kind of looking at like a twin situation from last season where they get in, a young team that gets in, get that playoff experience. We'll see what happens in that one-game situation. It might even be the Braves and the Phillies facing each other, although I don't think that's going to happen because I think we're going to Diamondbacks make that surge. I think we'll see it from the Dodgers. And then we'll see what happens in the NL Central. I think because right now the Brewers are 12 games over. I do think the Cubs will make that run too. I mean, that's another team. I mean, they're only 4 games over 500, and that's a team as well that likes to make that run in the second half of the season. So the National League is all fucked up right now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is. It literally is.
Yeah.
But you're seeing all those teams that were bad for a while, Adrian, with all that, youth rejuvenation, like the Brewers. They were awful. They were doormats for the longest time, too. And they're now leading their division. You saw the Pittsburgh, even St. Louis took a dip because they used to own that division year in and year out. It was always them and Pittsburgh always fighting for it. But you look at I'm very surprised at the Dodgers. I don't know why they're playing so poorly. That's a huge surprise to me. And then you look at San Fran, they try to make a push and get some veteran leadership, and they're just awful with Longoria and the bull from Pittsburgh. I can't think of his name. Yeah, McCutcheon, that's it. Yeah, and they really haven't really done anything. But it's still very early in the season. That's why you play all 162 games. So it's going to take some dips and valleys. Yeah.
All right, so I got the comments up. You see the Phillies adding a bat before September, October?
I don't think they would just because of what we have on the roster now. They're just struggling a little bit. I would more or less go with possibly another back end of the arm rotation guy. Maybe you try to get Cesar out of here to get Kingery some more playing time because he's struggled so mightily. I think that would benefit Kingery. So possibly I would like to get, bolster and get another arm rather than a bat.
Yeah. I think where Sean's getting at is Manny Machado.
Ooh, possibly.
Yeah. What would I just the shot.
What's that, Tony?
You kind of broke up there a little bit. We have temporarily lost Tony. We have lost him. He is gone. Tony, come back.
Tony, where are you? You're frozen in time, my dude.
Oh no. Well, I'll get another question and hopefully he comes back. If he doesn't come back, it is what it is. Reed and B thinks the Cubs and Nats window closes soon. I definitely think the Nats is closing before the Cubs. I'll say that.
Cubs are too young still. They're still
I think the Cubs are still in a good position. And that's a big market club, so they're always going to add, to that roster.
Yeah.
Got to get somebody besides a Double going. Yep, absolutely.
Rhys Hoskins is really struggling mightily. Now, I think he does have the ability to get it out, but if you look at his walk-to-strikeout ratio, 56 to 33, it's something that we haven't seen accustomed from Reese because he's always been able to work the zone. But they have his number right now, and I'm hoping he gets out of this funk. Maybe they give him a day off, maybe 2 days off, or what have you, just to get himself out of his own way. It's been hurtful. And you look at Nick Williams, he struggled. Everybody but Abdul really hasn't played well.
That was me.
Okay.
I texted the group to see what's going on with Tony.
Okay.
So he's still frozen in time. His mouth is a gasp.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? Does anybody want to ask anything? Do you think Hoskins, Kingery playing out of position is affecting their hitting?
Probably not their hitting. I don't think so. I just think they're in a funk, and you, as a young player, you go through those. Especially when you're hitting. I just think they maybe mix it up, take it. I think more or less Kingery more so than Hoskins, just because he's a professional hitter. I think Hoskins just needed a couple days off to really get out of his own way.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna see if I can talk and send. Oh, he's coming back. I see that grill.
But his face isn't moved. It's just
well that's
another frozen picture.
That's his profile picture.
Oh.
That's his avatar.
Okay.
It says Tony.
Right on his forehead.
Yep.
Looks like a cult leader.
by the time he comes back, we're going to be done the show. What do you think happens with Eflin? He's pitching well right now.
Yeah, he is. For the injuries, I feel like you got to work him in. It all depends on Pivetta though and Velasquez. You're back, Tony. If they start to struggle, you implement him because he's been pitching so well. But maybe he works better as a lawman right now.
I'm going to ask Tony the same question I just asked Kyle. Do you think Hoskins and Kingery playing out of position is affecting their hitting?
I'd say maybe Kingery a little bit. Hoskins at this point, I think I don't want to say he's comfortable in left, but I don't think it's affecting him that much. It's really hard to say. It's possible.
Yeah. It's hard to say because like Kingery's so young. What do we really know? I can understand to a point where that's coming from because he's obviously every single night he's like somewhere new. I mean, he's going to be playing catcher next, by the way he's going. But Hoskins, he's playing in the same spot in left field, so I think that's fine. I think he's all right. He's just got to get out of his slump. So we'll see if that happens. All right, so I'll ask one more question. Sean wants to know if we can add a back end lefty for the bullpen.
Via trade, we probably could because we have some guys on this roster that could move along to open up a space for, like, say, a Kingery. Or if you do want to go after Machado, you get rid of Franco.
I would say a back end left. Those guys are really hard to find. I mean, there's 2 left-handed relievers right now that would fit that mold. That's Hader in Milwaukee and Andrew Miller. Other than that, off the top of my head, I really can't think of any like dominating left-handed relievers.
And it costs some prospects to get those guys.
Oh yeah, I mean they gave up a ton for Andrew Miller.
Yeah.
So I would say that's next to impossible to find. But if they could find it, sure. What was the other question about a bat? Taking out a bat.
Oh, okay. So that must have been when we lost you.
Yeah.
Do you see the Phillies adding a bat before September, October? I think what Sean was alluding to was Mr. Machado.
I don't understand Machado talk. I don't know if you guys saw the piece that Bob Brookover wrote about how the Phillies should trade for Machado and give up Sanchez and Kingery and all these guys. Blah, blah.
No.
That is asinine.
Oh, Bob. Oh, Bob's back at it again.
Yeah, okay, because there's no way in hell Machado is going to agree to a deal mid-season like that. Like, he's just not. So risking the farm basically for a 2-month rental for a guy who's going to hit free, like, no, just absolutely not. It makes no sense. It's not like he guarantees them a World Series.
Nope.
Bob is clickbait material of the worst kind. He and Marcus Hayes.
He's an idiot.
He's old and stupid, and Philly.com is stupid.
Yeah, he wrote a whole article on a premise that has literally never been done in baseball. Like nobody has ever signed a deal like that midseason.
Yeah. All right, we'll do one more question since another one just came through. Ryan Noddling asks, "Do you guys want Cole Hamels?"
I take Cole Hamels back, but it depends what we're giving up for him. I'm not, giving up anything major. I wouldn't mind having Cole back here.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. As long as we're not giving up anything true value, and as long as people realize he's not the old Cole. I mean,
Right.
if he's our fourth or fifth starter, sure. But if you think we're going to be in, 2008 Cole Hamels, sadly.
And even if they got Cole Hamels, I mean, that doesn't mean he's starting a playoff game if they make the playoffs.
No.
Right.
You stick with your same rotation I got you.
Pavetta and Velasquez.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, those are the questions. That's our show. Anything else on your mind, guys? Final thoughts.
Fuck the NFL.
Huh.
Sorry.
I really don't want to get into anthem talk, but
I will,
if you have something to say, I will allow you the right of the First Amendment, unlike the NFL, to speak your mind.
Bingo. I could talk all day about it.
Do you know what it is? Oh, see, now you got me. You got me.
Sorry.
They're scared of Trump because ratings are down, and they're scared that people are going to leave the games. So they made a desperation move, and it's only going to make it worse. And then you got that fuckface, Mike Pence, #winning. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, fuck them both. I think this is going to royally backfire in the NFL's face. I think they're looking at it as a business decision, but if you really think about it, to me, it's a short-sighted business decision because the people who are really all butthurt about it are old white men. Let's be realistic.
Old racist white men. That's what it is. Like these old white men don't even know what the issue is.
Yeah, no, they don't. And so basically, they're making happy, all these old fucks who are gonna be dead soon and not watching the NFL in a couple years anyway, and give a middle finger to everyone else that is actually the future of their fan base. Not to mention just how racist and just everything else it is.
Yeah. All right. So, Kyle, you got anything to say? It doesn't have to be about the anthem, by the way. We don't have
to. I'm not talking about the anthem, so
I really didn't want to, but I did.
I'm good. No, I was just wondering. I was going to pose a question. How long do you think it takes for Hoskins to get out of this slump?
Oh, it's going to be one of those things. Once he starts hitting, he's going to start hitting. He's going to be raking. I'm talking like 5 homers in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be
start up. Sun's out.
How long, Tony?
Out, baby.
So do you guys still believe he's still going to hit over 50 home runs like you predicted at the beginning of the
season? No one said 50.
45?
I had – what did I have? I think I said – I'll have to check the tape, but I think I said like 33 or 34.
34, okay. Tony, did you say 44? I thought somebody said 45.
I believe I said over 40.
Okay. You still think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Way to just throw both of us under the bus, even though we didn't even say 50.
I thought you said somebody said 45. I remember somebody saying 45.
Yeah. We'll go back and check the tape. Well, actually, I'm not going to check the tape, but I'm going to pretend like I did.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, whatever you guys predicted, do you still believe he's going to hit around those numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I think he can get 30 because what's going to happen is he's just going to get hot and they're just going to start flying out of the park.
Okay.
Think about it, though. He's been in a slump for like a month now.
Mm-hmm.
And look at his numbers. They actually still aren't bad. Like his OPS is still like 850 or something like that. And he still base a shit ton. Yeah, his average is around 250 now. But, I mean.
That cracked me up, dude. Kyle's like, so you think he's getting the 45? You said, yeah, no, so nonchalantly. Like, there's probably like a 10% chance he gets the 45. You're like, yeah.
Hey, man. A couple hot weeks. Short porch in left field, man. He'll be all right.
Yeah, that's true. He just needs to get hit up on a slump buster. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Go fuck an ugly chick. That's how you get out of a slump. A slump buster. It's true. That's a thing. It's real. All right.
I don't know. His girlfriend's pretty hot, so.
Oh, that's right. He's got one of those, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if he'd be banging some big whales.
Yeah. No whales for Reese. Reese wants the Reese's Pieces. He wants the dime pieces.
He wants that sweet candy.
Yeah, he does. All right. So that's the end of this show. No doubt he's getting the 45.
I think I said 42, but whatever.
3 off. 3 off.
No, it just keeps going down and down and down. I don't think I went overboard. I want to say I said something between 30 and 35.
Yeah, I think you did say 35. I swore I saw or heard somebody say 45 or something like that. But
what? Like,
well, I know I definitely. I remember saying he's going to win MVP. So
yeah,
you can heckle me with that.
You said
I was just it was just a question. I wasn't trying to heckle. I was just curious.
No, I know. It came off that way, even though I know you didn't mean it.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to heckle. I was
that's why it was funny to me. And then the way that Tony responded, he's just like, yeah, like it's like so definitely gonna happen.
Why? He's gonna hit 3 tomorrow night.
Yeah. Oh man, he's gonna hit like 9 this weekend.
Yeah, just gonna average 3 home runs for the rest.
Yeah. I think you said what, 25 or something like that?
I said I went lower than that. I said like 22 or 23.
Yeah, you were real low. We're just like we thought you were an idiot, and clearly we're the idiots.
You don't know, man. You never really know.
Obviously, we mean idiot in not idiot sense.
It's not even summer yet, technically.
That's true. That's true. It's gonna get hot. He's gonna get hot. Just keep fucking the wife. That's got to be, or the girl.
Make adjustments.
Yeah, you got to make adjustments. Yeah, and yeah, that's enough. All right. For Tony Del Grasso, Kyle Gaffner, I'm Adrian Fedq. I'm going to go hit myself up a slump buster. That's what I'm going to do. We're out. Peace.